What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is we're slowly reaching that 100 mark of 100 episodes, and we've just been having a blast doing it. I mean, we've had artists from here in the US, up in Canada, the UK, Australia, and we've heard all genres of music. I mean, I don't think there's a genre that we haven't had on the show. So it's been a wild ride. I just love doing what I'm doing and I love talking to other artists. So today I have Briana Lyn here. Briana, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing really well today. Have a little bit of a cold, but I'm surviving it.
No, I feel that. I think I was just telling you before the interview is my allergies have been crazy just because of the weather changing so much. But obviously, first off, before we kind of hop into everything, is I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to just sit here and talk about your story and do this interview.
Absolutely. No, I'm thank you for inviting me onto this. I really appreciate it.
No, of course. It always just means so much to me when artists take time out of their day just to sit here, talk about their story. And it's always cool because you can listen to an artist on Spotify, on Apple Music, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you listen to your music, and you can be like, oh, wow, they're like a cool artist. Like, I like this song, like, and hit the like button and add it to your playlist. But sometimes it's just really cool. I mean, I find it fascinating to hear the background and hear how you really got into music, how you go about creating music, and just kind of what some of your goals are. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here.
Yeah.
Getting into the first question, always the basic of basics, is where did singing and playing really come about for you? Because I know for some people it starts at such an early age. They start humming nursery rhymes the day they were born. And then always like to compare it to someone like myself who just only started songwriting and producing back in 2018. So where did singing and playing kind of all come about for you?
Yeah. So ever since I was little, my parents said I was singing before I was talking. Apparently I could talk, but I chose not to. My preference was to be a singer at a very young age. So my mom and dad started getting me into voice lessons when I was about 3.5. It was kind of like voice lessons slash, music lessons, like just general music. I'm not sure how the teacher, put up with a 3.5-year-old or 3-year old, but they did. And I just loved singing. I started performing in church when I was 3, and I can still remember the name of the song I sang, I Am a Promise. So I really grew up singing in the church and getting my start there at a Baptist church in a small community called Litchfield, Minnesota, rural community in west central Minnesota. And then I, was taking voice lessons. I got involved in community theater at a young age, and I was doing a lot of musicals. I also did like cantatas at different churches, so I learned how to sing in harmony with people. I was in a, I did a lot of, being that I was in a church setting, we did a lot of like 4-part harmony songs. So I learned how to harmonize at a really young age, and I started writing my own music. And then when I was in junior high and high school, I got involved in like a Christian rock band, and I was a keyboardist and a singer for them. And we traveled around Minnesota and performed. And then I also started taking opera lessons when I was in 7th grade. So, and piano lessons happened, I think when I was about in 3rd grade. I was kind of playing by ear for a while, and then my parents said, let's get her into some piano lessons. So I did that, and I loved it. I practiced all the time. And let's see, and then I took opera lessons when I was in 7th grade, from an opera teacher, studied all the way through until after college with basically opera and classical training and incorporating some jazz, but mostly classical opera focus. But I knew that I didn't really want to do opera, so after, like, I didn't want to do it on a professional level, but I appreciated it. So I was also, let's see here. Oh, I also played the flute. So I started playing the flute when I was in 6th grade, and I was very involved in, marching band and all of jazz band. I was the piano player for that. So between choir, jazz ensembles, for singing, I mean, I was just immersed in singing and music. I loved it with every fiber in me. And then I ended up going to college to study music as well. So
Yeah, no, and that's awesome. Like I said, it's just always so cool to really hear how artists start because it just it's so cool to hear that because you don't hear that every day. You just hear their songs, you hear their music, and then just to do all that and kind of how you said you fell in love with piano. I mean, as much as I started with a guitar and like I thought I loved it at first, but it just there's always something about piano that just like when I hear like just ballads like with just straight piano, it's like get chills no matter what. Like it's just the piano is just such a cool instrument to me, and it can just create so many different dynamics when you're recording songs.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I sometimes if I don't feel like singing, like maybe I've had a stressful day,
Mhm.
I'll just go to the piano and pour out all of my singing emotion into the keys.
Yeah.
And it feels so good. It's very therapeutic for me. I mean, I like singing and playing piano. I definitely prefer singing,
Yeah.
but let's say like I have a cold so bad that I can't sing,
Yeah.
then I just go to the piano and try to create something. So,
And that's awesome. So kind of getting into the second question is, I mean, I could sit here for hours and talk about inspirations. I could literally sit here for 4 hours and talk to you about every single artist that I find inspiring. But
yeah.
I mean, everyone knows that I grew up on country music. I grew up in that 90s, early 2000s, like Garth Brooks, Travis Tritt, Tim McGraw, just a bunch of them. But then I also like to say is like a rock artist is Chris Daughtry, one of my all-time favorite artists and a huge inspiration for me. So kind of my question for you is who are some inspirations that you've kind of really looked up to like when you were a child or just kind of to now, who are some inspirations that you really look up to in the music business when it comes to creating your own music?
hmm Yeah, well, I'm an old soul, so I definitely prefer some of the older, the older parents of the industry, grandparents of the industry, if you want to say it that way. So growing up, I grew up in a Christian household, so I listened to a lot of like Amy Grant and gospel albums. So Amy Grant was really just very instrumental. Just the way even her non-Christian albums were phenomenal, and we listened to a lot of it. But growing up, listening to her Christmas albums were probably we're kind of like the icing on the cake. That was kind of that was what I associated Amy Grant with was the Christmas albums, you know. I also listened to some Lori Line, which she was like a Minneapolis
Mhm.
um, piano player actually. So her piano playing did inspire me from a piano playing perspective.
Yeah.
And then I grew up listening to the Grand Ole Opry, so I loved, different artists like Patsy Cline, and then Dolly Parton. And I didn't really love Dolly. I didn't really know about Dolly's life until later on, but there was something about her that just seemed so intriguing, and she was so happy and just felt so full of life. So in my later years as an adult, I've been, studying her more, and I tried out for The Voice one year and sang Jolene because I can impersonate Dolly Parton. I think I can make my voice sound a lot like her. So I really respect her a lot as an author. I really respect her a lot as an artist. And then I would say, I mean, musical theater. So just in general, musical theater definitely influenced me too. Disney music. I can't really name any specific authors, obviously, like who were the guys that wrote The Lion King, Elton John and
Yep.
Menken.
Mhm.
Um, can't think of his first name, but anyway, Alan Menken.
Yes.
So that whole genre I listened to nonstop as a kid, the
Yep.
Disney music, and then also of course musical theater, specifically Andrew Lloyd Webber. We listened to him like all the time, and Nat King Cole.
Mhm.
So we did have a lot of jazz in my house too, with Nat King Cole,
Yeah.
Kenny G, so um, and then recently, being more in the country pop industry now, or my music is more country pop. I love Maren Morris and Casey Musgraves for newer artists. Um, and I'm trying to think of a male artist that I like. Dirk Bentley,
Yep.
of
Actually
course.
just saw Dirk
Um,
Bentley a couple weeks ago.
oh, yeah, he's so cute. Yeah, and he's just such a
I
I
love
love his
him. We
voice. Yeah.
yeah, no, we actually I went down to Nashville a couple weeks ago and he was playing. We went to a show at the Grand Ole Opry. He was headlining it. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's a
was
dream. I want to. I mean, I've been to the Grand Ole Opry, but
no,
that's on my
it
long-term
was
goal
just like
list.
yeah, no, it was just such an experience. And I mean, naming all those artists and stuff like that, there's just so many talented artists that really just tell stories with their songs.
Yes, you're
And
entirely
that's
right.
what I think really draws me into artists is their storytelling aspect when it comes to writing music. And that's leading into this third question. I
Mhm.
always do have to quote Garrett Walker, who was on the show. he says this analogy perfectly, and it's like the songwriting process is like a puzzle. Whether you have a 500-piece puzzle, a 1,000-piece puzzle, how people do those is beyond me. I can't sit there and do puzzles, but you have all these puzzle pieces laid out on the table, and slowly you start putting the border together, you start putting the middle together, and you figure out where these pieces fit and how they fit together. And by the end, you have this full masterpiece. You have this full thing that you can say, hey, look what I just created. Look how I put this together and did this. So it's always cool to kind of always use that analogy. And shout out to Garrett Walker, just a phenomenal artist and everything. And you probably know as a songwriter too, is there is no rhyme or reason to the creative process. Sometimes is
Yeah.
a lot of artists start with melodies and then work lyrics into that, and then someone like myself as a songwriter, I love the lyrics, so I start with that and then incorporate the melody into it. So my question for you is, with some of the music that you have out, with more music to come, what is your creative process like when it comes to writing music?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm writing with somebody else, it's a little bit different than if I'm by myself. But generally, I'll come up with an idea, whether it's something personal, like my own personal thing that's happening, um, breakups, something like that, love, whatever it is, or it's something I'm imagining, like something that I'm thinking of. Like I was in a songwriting group for a while where every week we had to write a song, and so I would get a prompt, and then I would just, one of them was like, I think I forget what the prompt was, but I ended up writing about a blue Bentley.
Okay.
Oh, the prompt was driving. It was one word, driving.
Okay.
So I don't know why, but in my head I thought, well, blue Bentley, I don't know, it kind of, the alliteration I think sounded kind of cool, blue Bentley. So I thought, well,
Yeah.
maybe that would be kind of cool. Driving down the PCH, in a blue Bentley. So that was, and then I just literally came up with the ideas. And I kind of started off with just writing down ideas. So before I even thought of a melody, that's how I started that song and how I started a lot of the songs. Um, and then from there, once I have some lyrics going, I start to kind of piece them together how they would kind of sound good together in a phrase.
Yeah.
And then I go to the piano. I generally always go to the piano. I probably will learn how to do melodies without having to go to the piano. But for now, I generally go to the piano and then I just kind of start playing chords
Yeah.
and just fiddle, fiddle around with chords, noodle around with chords. And before long, I come up with a hook. And it doesn't take me long. I would say I'm pretty good at coming up with a good hook,
Yeah.
melody wise, to a song. So I come up with that. And then from there, it's just a matter of putting the other pieces together with it. And
Exactly.
it
I'm
doesn't, it doesn't really take too terribly long. My thought is to always don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be a complicated song to be a good song. And the more for me that I just write, I get better at it anyway. So my songs aren't super complicated, but I would say they have a lot of emotion and um, story, a story to them. And that's
exactly.
I like a good story. If you talk to any one of my friends, I might be long-winded, but I can tell a good story. You know, the smallest minute thing could happen and I could make it out to be this huge story. And that's why I like songwriting, is because I can tell stories of my life. So,
Exactly. No, and like I said, that's just really what draws me in, is that storytelling. If you can just sit there, listen to the song, and it's almost like reading a book, and you
yeah.
can just listen to it from the beginning to the end to the middle chapters and stuff like that, just to picture that whole story. And I mean, especially like you said, emotions too. That 95% of my songs just come based off pure emotions.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know is back in 2018 when I lost my grandfather, that's really when I wrote my first ever song, was Back to When. And that's just it, just the emotions. And if you can go out of your way just to write a song that tells a story, and if you can connect with that one person or those two people, then at the end of the day, that's what makes a songwriter, I feel like. And I mean, yeah, it's cool that if you can connect with a million people, that's the goal at some point in life. But just to
Mhm.
connect with those couple of people and to tell that story and share your emotions is just such a cool thing that really makes artists.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always told every guy I dated, almost every guy, I guess, recently in the last few years, I said, I always end up writing songs about guys that I've dated. So just so you know, there might be a song written about you one day. So, in fact, I was dating a guy and he didn't even know that there was a song written. There was already one song released, and he heard it and he didn't realize it was about him.
Oh,
He did
geez.
not realize because we had gotten back together, so he didn't
Oh, you
realize.
know what? I think I was literally because I was scrolling through your Instagram the other day, and you have a music video for that one, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
I did. I saw
runaway,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, no,
So we had broken up, and then we got back together, and it's a song about him.
interesting. No, and
Yeah,
that's super, super cool. So kind of getting to the fourth question, it's always my favorite question to ask. It's the most difficult question that I do ask on the show. And it's always why I say I love asking the questions and not answering them. Um, there's hundreds and thousands of artists out there trying to make names for themselves, whether they're on social medias like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, especially. And it's hard sometimes to really get your name out there and get more exposure and show people, hey, listen, this is my music. This is what I'm doing. So, my question for you is at the end of the day, what makes you you compared to all these other artists out there? And what can we take away from your music that we can't find in anyone else's music?
yeah. I would say, well, one from my singing style, I can sing a lot of different styles because I'm a voice coach as well. So, but I just know how to shape my voice in different ways. So I can make my voice sound more R&B, jazz, musical theater esque, or pop, country, whatever, to really so some of my songs, as you'll hear, especially my older songs, if you listen to like Ladybug, for instance, that's got much more of like a classic sound. If you watch my YouTube stuff, you know, my cover songs, they're all classic. But in terms of my own songs themselves, or just who I am, I guess, well, I mean, I'm a classic soul. I do have a classic approach. I'm kind of an older soul in some ways. I love old things like Lucille Ball, Dolly Parton, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
My voice, I would say, is very pure and smooth. It doesn't have a lot of glitches in it or like breaks, as you know, we would say. It's pretty smooth overall. I can, I really have a big range. I have a strong belting voice, so I can sing, like I said, musical theater or just belt out pop country songs pretty
Yeah.
easily. So I have a strength to my voice, but I would say it's also really sweet. It's got like a beautiful like sweetness to it, like kind of like Disney like.
Yeah.
Almost everybody who hears me, they're like, you could be like a Disney princess. um, I kind of talk like that, I guess, is what people think, and then also my just my voice is kind of sweet like that. So I think that's what makes me distinguishable, to be honest, compared to other people.
Yeah. No,
Um,
and I mean, honestly, after you were done answering that question, that's what I was going to say before you even started answering was that your voice is just so it's recognizable because you can put yourself like I could put you in a playlist with all different kinds of artists, all the artists that have ever been on the show and some that sound like you, but at the end of the day, it's when your song comes on, like I could not be looking at my phone to see what's playing. It's like that's Briana Lyn, that's who she is because your vocals are just so cool, so unique, and just your storytelling aspect behind your songs are just fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I've worked on my voice. I mean, that's the other thing. I think that's what makes me distinguishable. I've been perfecting my craft as a singer for years. I mean, since I was 3. So, you know, I take good care of myself. I think another aspect of me that maybe distinguishes me from other people, I'm athletic. I'm athletic. I used to be an athlete in high school, in junior high. I played tennis. I was in track. And so I take really good care of myself, which honestly helps me just with stamina
Yeah.
because the type of work that I do, it's all in the artistic realm. It can get tiring. Like physically it can be tiring and mentally draining, and so you really need to keep yourself you know, healthy in so many different ways. And one of the ways is I exercise, I lift weights, I do yoga, you know, all of that. So I definitely think that that also distinguishes me from other people
Yeah.
because I take supplements, I take vitamins, I eat healthy. I just think
Oh,
it's really important because you know, I've been on my death, kind of close to deathbed before, and I know what it's like to not be able to drink water for 4 days and
right.
just, you know, all of that. So I don't take for granted my health.
Exactly. No, and that's super cool too because sometimes when you do stuff like that, it frees up your mind and clears your mind a little more and then really just helps you. I mean, because like I know sometimes like when I go do stuff like that, it just clears your mind and you come back and you have just so many other open doors now, like when it, because like I was struggling on a song for a while and like I was sitting there for days and days and days just trying to find something, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what, I just need to go do what I need to do, like clear my head. And then I came back and I'm like, wait, like I could have went this way, that way, like, and it's just like more of a clear path when you better yourself and do stuff like that. So that's actually really cool to kind of hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, mental health, I know a lot of young people talk about mental health, and I think that it's an important thing. But sometimes when we focus just on that topic, we get more mentally unhealthy in a way. It's almost like we're so focused on the negative that we're not focusing on how to be healthy in general, right? So,
Exactly.
but like you just said, you just gotta take care of yourself. You're the only At the end of the day, this body is the body you're going to carry with you till you die. There's no other body you're going to get.
No,
So
exactly.
I just think when that's healthy, your mind is healthier, and you have better self esteem because you're treating yourself well. Like self love is really important, not in an egotistical way, but just in a way of appreciating every aspect of you and just right where you're at, starting right where you're at. 5 years from now, I'm sure you'll be like, wow, I'm glad I'm here now and not there. But at this moment in time, you got to just love where you're at and enjoy it and make the most of it. So,
Exactly. And actually, speaking of 5 years from now, that actually kind of leads into the fifth and final question.
okay.
And it's looking towards your future a little more. Is what are some of your short term and long term goals as an artist, and just what else can we kind of expect down the road from you?
Yeah. So I was thinking about this short term. Well, I want to keep writing music. So that's just short term. I want to keep doing that, releasing songs. I'm working actually on a country music project right now with a band. So I'm going to be like the main singer for the band. So we're kind of getting our demo ready and all of that. So I'm looking forward to getting going on that. Um, and guess I also do voiceover work,
Okay.
voiceover and some hosting. So I want to keep doing that and getting more involved in that. Long term, I want my music synced to TV film. I want to have that synced. I want to join SAG,
Mhm.
the union for to be an actor and a singer,
Yeah.
so that I can sing and act for different movies and TV. I also want to. I'm also really highly considering musical theater. So maybe doing something on Broadway, maybe like a Disney musical, or maybe a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. I don't know, just something in the musical theater vein. I think I would like to just try it again as an adult because I
Right.
hadn't done it since I was little. I also want to sing the national anthem for uh, like a big game, like maybe a Rams game or a Dodgers baseball game. That would be super fun. I love event singing, so
Okay.
I love doing that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And then lastly, I mean, because I'm a Disney, I love Disney in general. I want to work. I want to have something somehow connected to Disney, whether it's
Yep.
I'm singing for a Disney project or one of my songs gets on a Disney show.
Yeah.
That's like a big goal of mine. I
No,
want
and
to have some kind of connection with Disney.
yeah, no, and that's awesome. I literally love Disney stuff. So I mean, obviously that's just super cool. And how can you say the Rams and Dodgers when you said you're from Minnesota originally? Like a
Well, I mean,
Viking,
because I'm in
would a
LA.
Vikings game be okay?
Yeah,
Just
yeah. If they
saying.
if they would accept me, I mean, I'm kind of a traitor at this point to them. So they're pretty loyal in Minnesota. They're like, ooh, we don't want to take anybody that's not from Minnesota. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I'd be open to any
yeah,
of the
no,
sports.
I mean,
But
everyone knows I'm a big sports fan. So when you said
yeah,
Dodgers and Rams, I was like, oh,
yeah.
well, she's from Minnesota. So I do have to throw my Vikings in there,
It's
your
funny. You got a
Vikings.
Minnesota accent. I thought I had a Minnesota accent. Now when you
Really? Like,
say
no,
Minnesota,
no, it's actually funny. So when I did an interview with this rock band, Never Tell, they were one of their band members was originally from up here in Boston, and they're like, you don't really have an accent like if you're from Boston and stuff. And I was like, oh no, I keep it like refrained. But
yeah,
obviously now that you just asked, I'll give everyone a little Boston accent is I can
yeah.
park my car in Harvard Yard if I had to. I'm just from Boston. Like that's just how it is.
I mean, I
But
hear the Boston accent for sure, but when you
but
said say Minnesota again, because I'm pretty sure I heard that.
nah, it's just Minnesota.
Oda, you said Oda.
Well,
That's so Minnesotan. That's
I
definitely
mean, I guess it
yeah,
just from my years of watching the
yeah,
Vikings, like I guess that's just
yeah.
what it kind of stems from.
Yeah, it's osmosis there.
Yeah.
But
But so that kind of concludes all the questions that I had for you today, and that leads to the fun part of the interview is hearing something from you. I always love hearing live music from the artists. It's just always super, super cool. So
Yeah.
kind of, I will give you the floor if you want to let us know like what song you're doing, kind of how the song came about. But other than that, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna sing my most recent song release, Body Talk. But I'm gonna do it in more of like a jazzier, slower version, mostly because I can't play it that fast on the piano and have it sound good. But I started kind of playing around with it like a couple weeks ago with a slower version, like a slower way, and I really liked it. So I'm gonna play it for you today and everybody else that's listening. So
Awesome.
Body Talk, I wrote this song, of course, about somebody I dated, and he couldn't make my body talk. Simple as that.
Met you on a Monday, felt the sparks, sipping on tequila at the bar. A man without a face sneaking in my heart. Head kept thinking you're a question mark. Grabbed a few drinks, but you made me wait. Wanted more from you than I could taste. Hitting me up, sitting in your car. We hit the brakes, but you didn't get very far. Oh, no, no, you couldn't deliver. Oh, no, no, you left me dry and bitter. Call me up, but you couldn't make my body talk. Oh, no, no, thought you were a giver. Oh, no, no, you didn't make me shiver. Call me up, but you couldn't make my body talk. Thought you'd take me on a getaway. Ran out of gas before I came. Making all the moves, pouring me a drink. Wasn't good enough for another date. Pulling you in, but you're far away. Love that you give couldn't penetrate. Turning me off, sitting in your car. You hit the brakes, but you didn't get very far. Oh, no, no, you couldn't deliver. Oh, no, no, you left me dry and bitter. Call me up, but you couldn't make my body talk. Oh, no, no, thought you were a giver. Oh, no, no, you didn't make me shiver. Call me up, but you couldn't make my body talk. You make me feel so uneasy. Got nothing that I wanna say. You make me feel so uneasy. Tried, but you don't know how to play. Oh, no, no, you couldn't deliver. Oh, no, no, you left me dry and bitter. Call me up, but you couldn't make my body talk. Oh, no, no, thought you were a giver. Oh, no, no, you didn't make me shiver. Call me up, but you couldn't make my body talk. Call me up, but you couldn't make my body talk. Call me up, but you couldn't make my body talk.
Chills. I don't know if you can see them, but I got chills.
I see a couple hairs going up. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's just it's always just so cool to hear people sing on the show, and you, Brianna, just super talented. Your vocals are amazing. Your songwriting is super powerful, and you're just an amazing artist. And like I said, I just can't wait to see what else comes for you, and I'm definitely going to be a huge fan of yours for years to come.
That's very nice of you. They're very sweet. I've appreciated talking to you today. So,
No, of course. So yeah, thank you so much for being on the show today, just taking time out of your day to just sit here and talk about your story through music.
yeah.
Real quick, kind of just before I do my little outro here, is where can we find you on social medias?
Yeah, so for Instagram, you can find me Briana, Briana underscore Lyn, Lyn. And you can also find me on TikTok using the same handle. And let's see. Oh, Spotify, same thing. Briana Lyn, Briana, and then Lyn.
Perfect. People definitely go check her out. That was her latest single, Body Talk. Super, super cool song. I love how, like you said, like from the original, like it's way more fast paced and
Yeah,
energetic. But then like that, I just like I said, there's just something about the piano, like when it just
yeah.
comes down to strictly piano, like that, like I honestly like no shame against your like the original version, but like I love that version 10 times better now. It's
Really? Wow.
yes, like
Okay.
I love that. Like it just it for me, like I said, it's just something with an artist and a piano. The two of them
Yeah,
together, it just creates magical moments, and
I
that was
agree.
one of those magical moments.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. I'm gonna make another recording of it with just piano and vocals, I think. Because
No,
I like that version too.
yeah, no, you definitely should. But again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here today.
Thank you.
So that concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point. Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got new artists, new music, new stories. You never know who's going to be on here. So y'all stay tuned for next week, and thanks for tuning in today.